The late 70s, early 80s was a weird time for Disney because they were trying to be relevant in the change of decade. In certain movies, they did, but others they did not. But this was a success, even though it didn't do too much in the box office. It's a hidden gem that made 2.4 million than its budget. If you're a big fan of Matt Dillon, you're a big fan of S.E. Hinton. I'm preaching to the choir, but for those who don't know about this was well before The Outsiders. It's called Tex. Now, Tex is an 82 American coming of age drama by Disney, directed by Tim Hunter in his directorial debut, from a screenplay by Charles Haas and Hunter, based on S.E. Hinton's best selling 1979 novel of the same name. It follows two teenage brothers in rural Oklahoma and their struggle to grow up after their mother's death and their father's departure. The film stars Matt Dillon in the title role with Golden Globe nominee Jim Metzler as a cohort, Meg Tilly, Emilio Estevez in his film debut, Bill McKinney, Francis Lee McCann, and Ben Johnson in supporting roles. Now again, Metzler was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for his performance, which drew a lot more interest around the movie at the in award season. Now, Tex is seen as one of the earliest efforts by Walt Disney to put mature content in his movies and receive positive reviews for his realism and content. Now, cinematography by Rick Waite, edited by Howard E. Smith, music by Pino Doniagio. Production company was Walt Disney, but distributed by Buena Vista. July 30th, 82. 103 minutes, budget of $5 million, with $7.4 million at the turnstiles. And of course, Jekcho Ivanik was in this as well, a very good character actor. Now, in this one, two brothers, Tex and Mason McCormick, struggle to make it on their own when their mother dies and their father leaves them in their Oklahoma home. 15-year-old Tex McCormick and his 17-year-old brother Mason are trying to make it on their own in the absence of their rodeo-riding father. Mason takes over running the household and to make ends meet, sells Tex's beloved horse, Rowdy. Tex gets mad at Mason and he heedlessly tumbles into scrap after scrap. When his pop comes home, Tex is shocked to learn that he isn't his real father. But Tex realizes that Mason and Pop do love him, and it's time to start growing up. So it comes across as a TV movie, but it is what it is. Now, Meg Tilly plays Jamie Collins, Bill McKinney as Pop McCormick, Francis Lee McCain as Mrs. Johnson, Ben Johnson as Cole Collins, Phil Brock as Lem Peters, Emilio Estevez, again an early role, as Johnny Collins, Tom Virtue as Robert Bob Collins, Jack Tebow as Coach Jackson, Zetcho Ivanik as Hitchhiker Mark Jennings, Pamela Udwig as Connie Peters, and S.C. Hinton as in a cameo as Mrs. Barnes. Now, the film was given a PG rating by the Motion Picture Association rather than a G traditionally earned by Walt Disney Studio Productions, and was noted as an early effort by Disney to incorporate more mature subject matter into its films. The film was somewhat edgy for Disney at the time for its scenes that depicted marijuana use, as well as featuring a moderate amount of profanity. Tim Hunter had previously co-written the 1979 film Over the Edge, where Charlie Haas brought the project to Disney and asked for the opportunity to direct it himself. The film was shot entirely on location in around Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the suburbs, the setting of which the Hinton novel on which it is based. Now, it did very good with reviewers. On a review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 85% of 13 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 6.8, which is 3 stars out of 4. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 70 out of 100, based on 7 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. You rarely see this movie on streaming or TCM or whatever, and it's because, being a Disney product. Now, Janet Maslin liked the movie, said it was an utterly disarming, believable portrait of small-town adolescence that captured Miss Hinton's novel perfectly, and that would make a star out of Matt Dillon, and forever alter the way moviegoers think about Walt Disney Pictures. She was right on one thing. Matt Dillon became a big star, and still is, years later because of his different movies. Maslin concluded her review by stating, "This is a film that accomplishes everything that it attempts and does so expertly. On his own terms, it is a success through and through." Roger Ebert gave it 4 out of 4 and noted that Hunter and Haas, as in her previous writing effort, the 79 film Over the Edge, were still remembering what it's like to be young, still getting the dialogue and the attitudes, the hang-ups and the dreams exactly right. David Sterritt of the Christian Science Monitor called it probably the best picture turned out by the Disney studio since the heyday of the legendary Walt himself. Now, there was some talk that it would get a Best Picture nomination at the Globes. Didn't happen, but I think the Golden Globe supporting was more of like a cast award than anything else. Now, but Variety didn't like it and said that the writers Haas and Hunter, after later making his directing debut, seem intent on incorporating every conceivable adolescent and adult trauma into their script from the novel by S.E. Hinton, thus leaving the film with a very overdone, contrived feeling. Well, it's the eye of the beholder. Adolescent movies are like that. You get the James Dean Rebel one out of the motif, one out of cause motif. Now, in the fourth Youth and Film Awards, Dillon was nominated for Best Young Motion Picture Actor, and Tex was nominated for Best Family Motion Picture. Best Supporting Actor nomination at the Globes for Metzler. And it's interesting to look that year for Best Supporting Actor in a movie. Nobody was going to beat Lou Gossett Jr. that year, and James Mason had a chance as well. So Metzler, David Keaton, and Raul Julia were the other nominees. We're not going to. Nobody's going to beat Louis Gossett Jr. that year. And for the drama motion picture, this is E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Missing an Officer and a Gentleman, Sophie's Choice, and The Verdict. If there was a family category, Tex would have won that year. So it's it couldn't go under the comedy. Like I said, 82, 83, strong years for movies. Now, released on VHS, one of the first non-animated movies released on VHS in that era. There was only a few. By Walt Disney Home Video at a very special box case. The film was released on DVD by Walt Disney in 2004. Now, there's a collector's item version of it internationally. I think Tex has a different name, but this was released after The Outsiders to capitalize on the two keys of the Outsiders, Estevez and Dillon. Of course, Meg Tilly being the Canadian actress. And the big thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, there was a talk that Megan Follows might be considered for the part, but she was still not what you call Megan Follows of the Anne of Green Gables one, so she was doing bit parts at the time. And this was before Hockey Night as well, where she played, the hockey goalie with Yannick Bisson of, Murdoch Mysteries. I first saw the movie in French. I haven't seen it in English, actually, but I've seen it in French. The French dub, they sound like a bunch of Quebecers in Oklahoma. But Matt Dillon, there's a combination of him and James Dean, Tony Curtis, Paul Newman. Dillon, he's always doing something interesting. And, I think that's it's to die for in movies like that, where Dillon plays the villain, it doesn't work. He's sort of like the rebel with a cause, as we say. And we'll do it for Johnny will be probably come down as one of the biggest lines of the 1980s. And William Smith, he's co-star in the like what they call the magazine shop scene. He said he knew he was going to go places, and if William Smith says it, it's going to work. It's too bad it wasn't in Red Dawn. I would have loved to see him work with Powers Booth. He would just chew up the scenery like crazy. So if you love Matt Dillon, see it. But if you're a lot of people like Meg Tilly because of we're different performances and the Big Child. Tilly's not really considered part of the Brat Pack, so you're looking at Dillon and Estevez and all that. And no, Matt Dillon wasn't in St. Elmo's Fire, in case you're wondering. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, what are Disney tributes, let us know what a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye. Hello.